Good storytelling is all about wrapping up plot points before a narrative comes to an end. Imagine how unsatisfied people would have been if Friends ended without Chandler and Monica's surrogate giving birth, or if we didn't find out what happened to Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Rises, or if those aliens from Toy Story 2 weren't adopted by the Potato Heads. Now that would have been a crime. Sometimes though, characters fall through the cracks in a story, and their journeys come to an abrupt halt before their final destination is reached. That wasn't a hint, by the way. Final Destination will not be appearing on this list. Instead, we have 10 horror movie characters who were there 1 minute and then gone the next, either in a sequel or over the course of a single film. These lot went missing and we still have no idea where they went. Some of them have fairly decent real-world excuses, but others, well, it just seems like the writers totally forgot about them. Poor characters. What did they ever do to deserve this sort of shabby treatment? Anyway, with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 horror movie characters who disappeared without a trace. Number 10, Chris Collins in Arachnophobia. Released in 1990 and directed by Amblin Entertainment co-founder Frank Marshall, Arachnophobia is a very silly comedy horror about a small town that gets invaded by angry spiders. Starring Jeff Daniels and John Goodman, the movie has become extremely popular and even has a remake in the works with James Wan set to produce. Maybe in this new version we'll find out what happened to Chris Collins. Collins, played by Brian McNamara, is the assistant to Daniels' lead character Dr. Ross Jennings. He plays a pretty major role in the film's second act, offering up important information to Jennings so that he may save the day. He even rescues his boss's family from a spider-infested house, which leads to nothing. He just disappears. We see him get knocked over when trying to rescue Ross from the creepy crawlies, but we never see him die. So where does he go? Did he die? Did he escape? Is he tangled up in some giant web somewhere, still waiting to be rescued after all these years? Let's hope a big gust of wind came along and blew him down if that is the case. Number 9, Tori Redding in Leprechaun. Before she was either the 4th or the 5th best friend, come on, Joey's the best obviously, Jennifer Aniston was Tori Redding in 1993's Leprechaun. With Warwick Davis in the lead role, Leprechaun is about a family haunted by the presence of an evil creature who believes they have stolen his gold. It's up to the humans to track down the stash before it's too late. Aniston does well as the movie's main survivor, the final girl if you will, eventually contributing to the Irish monster's death via flaming well. Or so we thought, but somehow the character has returned to cause more terror in 7 sequels. But wait, where's Jen? As you can imagine, with the uber-popular sitcom just on the horizon, Aniston stepped away from the franchise after just 1 film. Tori does get a little mention in the 2018 film Leprechaun Returns, but only to let us know that she died of cancer. Who knows? Maybe Aniston will come back to the series one day. Perhaps her and it are just on a break. Number 8, Joel Jones in Scream 2. Sticking with Friends now, and the other 4th or 5th best member of the gang, Monica. Or more accurately, her actor, Courtney Cox. Outside of Central Perk, Cox is perhaps best known as the intrepid reporter Gale Weathers in the Scream franchise. Debuting back in the first movie, Weathers returned for Scream 2 to do battle with a new version of Ghostface. In the first Scream, Gale was accompanied by cameraman Kenny Jones. Kenny couldn't make it to the sequel, mainly because he'd been murdered by the Masked Man. For her second outing, Gale was paired with new cameraman Joel Jones, no relation. Unfortunately for the new Mr. Jones, he realizes he is way in over his head after Ghostface murders Randy in his media van. So what does he do? He gets the hell out of there. Wait, you can do that? Why doesn't everyone do that in a horror film? Joel announcing he's leaving town is super random, especially as he turns back up after the killer has been revealed. Maybe this is just our imaginations, but that seems slightly suspicious. Number 7, Felix and Lucy in Bird Box. For those of you who haven't seen A Quiet Place, Bird Box is a super tense, super gripping horror thriller. For those of you who have seen A Quiet Place, it's a cheap rip-off where people can't look at stuff instead of not being able to make noise. There is no middle ground. Starring Sandra Bullock, Bird Box tracks a woman's quest to get 2 children to sanctuary after the world is invaded by aliens. Aliens that make you kill yourself if you look at them. Go figure. Along the way, Bullock's character Mallory runs into a group of survivors holed up in a house. Among them are Rosa Salazar's Lucy and Felix, played by Machine Gun Kelly. After coming to the conclusion that they are, in Machine Gun Kelly's words, effin' effed, Lucy and Felix steal the group's only car and drive off on their own. Their cohabitants realise this and are disgusted by what the young couple have done. And that's it, we never see them again, we never find out what happens to them, we're just left completely in the dark. Although hopefully those selfish so-and-sos got exactly what they deserved. Number 6, the old man's dog in The Blob. Okay, so this one might seem a bit random, but just hear us out. In 1958's The Blob, 2 teenagers are making out at a lover's lane when a large meteorite crashes nearby. This space rock bursts the titular creature, a gelatinous ooze that devours everything it comes into contact with. The first victim of The Blob is Barney, an old man who finds it shortly after it crashes. Barney dies when the gunk swallows him up, leaving behind his sweet little dog in the process. Now, somebody should have checked on this dog for the solution to this problem, because this pup survives everything that gets thrown at it. The good boy/girl is shown to be completely fine after several blob attacks, including an assault on a grocery store. However, after this scene, it's never seen again, even though it had a strong connection to the blob's early appearances and it was promised to lead character Jane's little brother. The writers really missed a trick not including the dog more in the later parts of this film. It might not seem like a big deal, but try and watch The Blob again without wondering where the hell that blasted dog got to. Number 5, Gerald Hopkins in Gremlins. Don't get them wet, don't feed them after midnight, and certainly don't get attached to this character from the 1984 classic Gremlins. Gerald Hopkins is a snotty work colleague of the film's main protagonist Billy Peltzer. He's up himself, he's rude, and he tries hitting on Billy's girlfriend right at the start of the film. But he's going to get eaten by gremlins as soon as they turn up. That'll show him, well, as it turns out, he wasn't shown a damn thing. Hopkins vanishes without a trace before the destructive little critters even arrive. He crops up very briefly midway through the picture, but not in any meaningful way. This is strange for 2 reasons. 1, he was clearly set up to be a foil to Billy's character. And 2, actor Judge Reinhold was a rising star at the time. Surely they'd want to use more of him. A deleted scene shows Hopkins hiding in a bank vault during the events of the film, but even that doesn't really feel satisfactory. Number 4, Helen Lyle in Candyman. In the first Candyman film from 1992, lead character Helen Lyle dies after saving young Anthony McCoy from a fire. In the film's closing moments, her no-good husband Trevor says her name 5 times in the mirror. In true Candyman fashion, a ghostly apparition of Helen appears and sends Trevor packing. That'll teach you for cheating on her with one of your students. So Helen's back and more powerful than ever. Surely this sets the stage for her to return in one of the 3 Candyman sequels. Well, about that. Director Bernard Rose had a sequel in mind whilst making Candyman. He wanted it to tell the story of Helen falling in love with the titular ghost, painting the murderous monster in a more sympathetic light. However, the studios didn't want to feature an interracial couple in the movie and the idea was binned. Wow. Because of one dubious decision, actor Virginia Madsen hasn't played Helen Lyle since. This despite the fact that there were so many interesting directions to take the character after the end of the first film. Sometimes the real horror villains are the ones in suits with all the money. Number 3, NAULS in The Thing. The weirdest thing about this disappearance is that it happens just before the film ends. NAULS, played by T.K. Carter, is the cook at the Antarctic research base where the action in this John Carpenter movie takes place. After the titular Thing arrives, it tears through the crew members like wildfire, assimilating and killing till its grubby little heart's content. Alongside Childs, Gary, and McCready, NAULS is one of the final 4 men left standing when the Thing assimilates Blair and turns into a giant monster. Gary is killed, leaving McCready and Childs to destroy the beast and share that iconic closing shot. But where on God's green earth did NAULS go? He just vanishes into thin air. We never see him die, we don't see him at all. Where the hell can he be? Like, literally, where can he be? He's in the middle of an icy hellscape. He can't exactly just pop down the Winchester and wait for this to all blow over. In all honesty though, The Thing is a film built on mystery and suspicion, so a major character fading into the ether right at the climax isn't exactly out of place. Number 2, Ted Bowen in Friday the 13th Part 2. Sure, everyone likes to bang on about how important Friday the 13th Part 2 is because it introduced us properly to Jason Voorhees, but can we talk about Ted Bowen for a moment? The ultimate horror goofball, Ted is one of the counselors being trained up at the start of the film, and when Jason returns to Crystal Lake to exact his revenge, Ted gets caught in the crosshairs of the mask-wearing maniac. If you're following conventional horror movie logic, then surely Ted has to be one of the first to go. He's unathletic, he's nerdy, he's sympathetic, his death has to come early in the film to get across how dangerous Jason is, and yet he survives. Or does he? We never actually find out, as Ted drops out of the plot before the 3rd act. He elects to stay behind at the bar whilst fellow survivors Ginny and Paul go to finish Jason off. Smart call, Teddy boy. Ted gets blackout drunk during this scene, so he would have been even more useless in a fight against Jason. Let's assume he spent the night partying away whilst his friends were being slaughtered. Number 1, John Tate in Halloween H2O 20 Years Later. later. You know that song We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto? Well, take that and replace the word Bruno with the words any of the Halloween films between the original and David Gordon Green's 2018 reboot, and you've got the idea. Not as catchy though, is it? Unfortunately, this rewriting of the franchise's timeline means we miss out on movies like Halloween H2O 20 years later and characters like John Tate. Portrayed by Josh Hartnett, John is the son of Kerry Tate, or as we later find out, Laurie Strode in hiding. As the offspring of the series' main protagonist, it's only a matter of time before John finds himself face to face with Michael Myers. He and his girlfriend Molly are attacked by his mother's stalker, which forces Kerry/Laurie to come out of retirement and kick Michael's Shatner mask-wearing ass once and for all. Although Son of Strode had a great way into the franchise, he wasn't used ever again. His mother is brutally bumped off at the start of the next film, Halloween Resurrection, and Green decided not to bring John back for his new vision. Don't feel too bad for John, at least he dodged the bullet that was Halloween Ends. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.